Every day, nearly 8 lakh passengers travel in air-conditioned coaches in the Indian Railways. Every one of them is provided with a clean bedsheet, blanket, pillow and towel paid for by the public exchequer. But here is the shocking reality. Roughly 1 in every 1,000 passengers walks away with at least one bedroll item. And the result is that since 2022, a staggering 1.27 crore bedroll pieces have been stolen, causing losses amounting to over rupees 104 crore. The most stolen item is not a blanket or a pillow, it's the humble face towel, with 46.5 lakh towels disappearing in just 4 years. Bikaner and Ranchi have emerged as the worst affected railway divisions, while Mumbai alone has reported over 8 lakh bedroll items stolen. This is not just a story about missing linen, it is a story about a civic sense crisis. When public property is treated as personal property, this is what happens. The cost of replacing stolen linen ultimately comes back to the system at large and to the public itself. The Railways is now fighting back by counselling bedroll attendants, installing CCTV cameras and using technology like the Coach Mitra app. But the real solution cannot come from surveillance alone. It has to come from a change in mindset, because a nation that aspires to be a global power cannot afford to treat theft of public property as a harmless souvenir. Civic sense is not just about keeping our surroundings clean, it is about respecting what belongs to all of us. Joining me on the broadcast to discuss this very crucial issue is Mr. Dilip Cherian, Image Guru. We also have with us Mr. Sanjay Sahai, former ADGP Karnataka Police, and Dr. T.S. Ramakrishnan, railway expert. I'd like to rope in Mr. Dilip Cherian first. Sir, when something goes wrong, the very first instinct is to always pin the blame on public officials. Yes, the Indian Railways is a titanic ecosystem that works at a scale to operate every single day round the clock. It is not perfect, but massive strides have been made over the last decades or so to improve passenger services. But now the same passenger indulges in stealing sheets, towels, pillows, blankets. Yes, these are given for free, but for the duration of the train journey. So why exactly has petty theft been normalized just because it's government property and therefore belongs to no one?
You know, I hear what you're saying, but this looks to me a little suspicious. Honestly, I don't see the quality of railway hand towels so impressive that people should want to steal them, whichever socio-economic background they may come from. My anxiety is that I'm suspecting and I'm sniffing that there is more to the story than just that of public apathy or about the fact that the public thinks that it's okay to steal government produce or product. People don't steal things which are not either fresh or new, and certainly these railway hand towels and pillows are not a use and throw item, and they probably, everybody there using it knows that it's recycled. So why would they want to steal it? I would be a little cautious about this, and there seems to be some reason to put this out and to, in a sense, enhance the visibility of this kind of story. So treat with suspicion, figure out what's actually going wrong, and then let's look at it more seriously.
Fair enough. I'd also like to rope in Mr. Sanjay Sahai into the discussion. As far as the report is concerned, all that has been stolen is essentially funded by the public. It is public money. It is taxpayer money that goes into running the mammoth ecosystem that is the Indian Railways. And frankly, it is absolutely baffling that rupees 104 crores worth of bed sheets and towels and pillows just gone in 4 years. Why do we then demand world-class public services while refusing to behave like world-class citizens?
I think our DNA is not likely to change in another 50 or 100 years. I remember of the days of Indian Airlines, and on the back of the cutlery, it was very neatly embossed, stolen from Indian Airlines. And that was basically a badge people used to bring home and say that I've stolen from India. I also remember of another incident while on a training in the US, two of the very senior officers from the respected services. So they stayed in a single room and they're trying to claim room rents of two individuals. Every day in and out, we hear of stories of the misdemeanor, which is we call it a misdemeanor of Indians here, there, and everywhere. If you go onto the road, also, if they are able to pick up something where nobody is looking at you, they would do that as well. Now, demanding world-class services and these particular cheats doing whatever they are, whatever they are doing, are two totally different things. Let's not confuse the two. Here is a bunch of people who are accustomed to doing things and in a situation where there is immunity. Now, where does the immunity come from? That is very, very important. If there is no immunity, these people will not do, or at least 95, 98% of these guys will not do. Immunity comes primarily today because most of the services are being contracted. And when the services are being contracted and there is also somebody who is a coach attendant, he literally knows he has given whom and what he has given, and while the journey is getting over, he collects also everything. But if somebody wants to bulldoze him, he has neither any interest nor is he bothered about as to what is happening to that particular piece of the petrol or petrol kit, whatever you call it. Now, for 4 years, what was Indian Railways doing? Public, okay, you have all the control over the public. So you can deal with them. You have decided not to deal with them, that is your problem. What for 4 years has the Indian Railways been doing? So it is only because of an RTI. I think most of the things in this country, I think from big scams to small things of this nature, I still call it a small thing given the magnitude of whatever Indian Railway handles. So it is treated as a very normal thing. There are lots of small banks where 20, 30 crores of cyber crime, it is supposed to be a normal thing and it is written off. So that is the civic sense which we carry, and that is the a level of accepted criminality which we call it as a normal behavior. So all those things are taken for lots of perks being eaten up. You see government vehicles being misused. So there are a variety of things which are happening. So I would like to differentiate between world-class amenities being provided and some number of people, even 1.27 or whatever linen items being stolen in 4 years, would be out of some 200 crores of linen items or whatever number, some astronomical number. Now, there the main problem is that the Indian railways will have to find ways and means. Now, what they're doing is, why I'm saying with the contracted thing it's happening more, because the whole loss goes to the contractor and not even the contractors to the attendants. So this is where we are very precariously placed. It is a combination of railways not doing anything, our civic sense, and our capability to write roughshod when there is no immunity and no action, which you see in the foreseeable future. You know, same with the traffic issue also.
Absolutely. I'd like to rope in Mr. T.S. Ramakrishnan into discussion as well. Mr. Sanjay Sahai mentioned that all of this has come to light because an RTI was filed 4 years ago. And otherwise, of course, it's silently acknowledged by all of us that yes, this is a practice that exists. People steal public property, they damage public property. Now, the Indian Railways has started counseling and sensitizing, the bedroll attendants. CCTVs are being installed. The Coach Mitra app is also being deployed. But this will only go so far. As Mr. Sai pointed out, it's a twofold problem. Yes, it's systemic to the point that, the ecosystem is so massive, and on the other hand, it's also a civic sense issue. Because as far as this behavior is concerned, it is considered normal. It is so entrenched in the minds of the public at large. In your assessment, then, what is truly needed to bring about a change?
Well, so this is not something new that has been happening in railways or any public places, public spaces in India. And this was happening very seriously, on very large scale 30 years back. And actually, ideally speaking, now it has reduced. Because even by this data, if you see that only one out of 1,000 passengers have actually has taken away at least one towel or one linen or whatever it may be. So it is not as if all the passengers who are traveling by train travel by AC classes are taking it up. Only one out of 1,000. That means the probability of people stealing is actually extremely low. So this kind of mindset is actually has been there among the people for a quite a long time. And certainly, as Mr. Shagaya has told, the quality of the towels or the quality of the linens is not worthy enough to lift it, because they can't use it anywhere else. But still, if you like to take it, you take it. That's all. It is immaterial whether it is useful or not useful, or whether it is beneficial or not beneficial. Because earlier, when a train was introduced in between Goa and Bombay, with all the electronic gadgets to listen. And by the time the train was, passengers have deboarded, it was found that plenty of electronic gadgets were, gadgets means they are disposable items like earphones and all have been removed and then used by taken away by the people. So this trend has been there. I don't know whether people are aware of that. When there was a water can, and then there was a facility to drink water through a glass. The glass is always tied to the water can via a chain. And then only it is possible to retain it. For two reasons. First reason is people will otherwise, while handling it, it will fall here, there, everywhere. And then it will become dirty. That is one thing. And then it can even fall on the tracks. Then it will get crushed. On the other hand, it is also not possible to safeguard the, because people require it for various other reasons. Somebody wants to take it for cleaning their face. Somebody wants to take it for cleaning their babies, whatever it may be. So there are multiple reasons, multiple demands for a particular small item given by the Ministry of Railways, and people will take it. So this, compared to that time, and even I have seen around 25 years, 30 years back, when the train is stopped, actually, there will be some boys who enter the train. I'm talking about the general compartment and second class compartment, not the AC compartment. There they enter the train and then try to see what items can be taken away, what is left out on the coaches, and then what can be collected and then taken away. So it is immaterial for them whether it is whether it is of another person or whether it is a waste item or whatever it may be. So they even open the toilet and then see whether the mug is free or it is connected. So if it is connected, they can't remove it. If it is free, certainly they will take it out and then they will put it on the old paper mat, whatever it may be, metal mat. So this kind of tendency has been there for a long time, and it has been reducing. I'm saying from my observation, I have not done any statistical survey on that. But certainly the tendency has been coming down. People are becoming more gracious and more when it comes to all that. So it will take another 20 years for India to, reach that level where, most of the people, almost, again, there will be some people who will be behaving abnormally. But the number of people behaving abnormally is now actually 1 in 1,000. So that will become 1 in 10,000, then 1 in 1 lakh, and then 1 in 1 crore, and 1 in 100 crores. When we reach a level where it is 1 in 100 crores, we can say that we have reached a perfect world. So hopefully, I think we will move towards that. And any other technology or any other things, I don't know how far they are going to help us, because the kind of spending for technological for supervision or is much more than the number of the amount of the fund that is required, that is lost actually on stolen items. So it is very, very, it's a very tricky issue. So hopefully things will improve in the next 10, 15 years. That's what my understanding is.
Absolutely. I will be taking concluding remarks from all the guests who've joined, but I'll also digress a little bit over here, not just talking about this particular issue, but the railways at large, because what's been highlighted in the report that has come out is theft. But there are further issues that we see when we travel in the railways. We see people making sandwiches, preparing their food in their compartments, littering in their compartments as well, and this has been normalized to a degree where once you enter the compartment and you see it dirty, you just sort of put your head down and accept it. So Mr. Dilip Cherian, I wanted to understand from you, why are we then not treating public spaces as if they are our own? We can take care of our own houses, leave them spick and span, but why is it that we are unable to treat the public spaces in our own country in the same manner? Why does this discrepancy exist?
The reason why Indians tend to treat public spaces as, places that can be littered and ruined, I think is partially also because of a lack of training at the school level. We have not included these things in our curriculum. If you look at other countries, especially countries like Japan, this is the how to behave in public is something that is drilled into children from the age when they are impressionable. I think we need this. Trying to police the size of country we have, trying to find ways of putting CCTVs and others is, to my mind, not solving the problem. It is only making it, the kind of dream thing, which is to steal it to show that you have the ability to steal. Both Mr. Saya and Mr. Ramakrishnan have pointed out that the numbers today are actually quite small. But on the other hand, if you look at the story of the railways, the vast number of complaints today are about people who are saying that what they've been promised in terms of food items and things like that are actually not provided. Now, this RTI may have thrown up a different aspect. Look closely is to how are we actually functioning as a public service, and is this what is expected for a country that hopes to be treated as a developed world?
Absolutely. I'd also like to rope in Mr. Sanjay Sahai over here. As Mr. Dilip Cherian rightly pointed out, all of us have hopes and aspirations to make India a global power. Change cannot be brought about in one day, considering the fact that, yes, our population is ginormous. We're 1.4 billion Indians. And so where do we then go from here?
The most important part is that do we have a blueprint of change? So we just don't have any blueprint of change. There are two things which keeps happening in this country for literally anything and everything. So one is that we are too huge, we are too huge to use. China is also too huge. Second is any organization which falters, flounders, whatever the case may be, it is supposed to be a big, gigantic organization, and that is why they are not delivering. Let me make it very, very clear. The size of the organization has the wherewithal to run that organization. Only then that organization reaches that particular level. If we didn't have the capability of running Vande Bharat trains, it won't have run. Now coming back to your issue, I think after 10-15 years of not traveling in Indian Railways, I got a fancy to travel from Bangalore to Chennai by Shatabdi Express some 10-15 years back. You are talking about the trains, I am talking about the tracks. 4 a.m. in the morning in Bangalore City Junction, you see people for their call of nature. Now where are we? So that's point number one. Second number is that we are talking about citizens not using or not doing or not behaving in the manner. And we are not moving in the direction of a developed country, whatever you call it. How does the Indian Railways treat its assets and property? That is very, very important. The Indian Railways itself treats its assets and property in a very, very shabby manner. Operation and maintenance is not our culture. So once something is there, you just push it in and it goes. The added thing I'll tell you, that in the same environment, anything being provided to very high-end government officials and the political executive is completely spick and span. Completely spick and span. You see a government office and lower down the order and you go and see Prime Minister's office or whatever, North Block, South Block, whatever. It's a totally world of a difference. Mismanagement in railways has been the name of the game. For whatever reason, a variety of reasons. There were trains going to different destinations during COVID. The destination is somewhere else, the train going into somewhere else. So we are basically in a crossroad of technical change, civilizational change. Literally, we are trying to break free. And when you are trying to break free of the shackles and you don't have the wherewithal. So this is the transition period, I presume. And then we will go in the right direction. So that is my understanding of things. So it is a combination of railway mismanagement. It is a combination of lack of civic sense. It's a combination of these contracted services or whatever you call it. And a very, very neat octopus-like control of senior elite in this country for whom everything comes clean, neat, whatever.
One last quick comment from Dr. T.S. Ramakrishnan. Sir, I'm running short on time, but of course there's recently an incident that came to light and it went viral on social media where, you know, a man who saw a co-passenger littering in the train compartment did not intervene, and later when he was asked why, he stated that getting home is more important, that being safe and sound and reaching his destination and reaching home is more important than telling someone and checking behavior of the next person, you know, to just maintain basic civic sense and treat co-passengers as other people who are availing these services. Why has public apathy really reached this point?
No, this has been there for quite a long time. Actually, I'm not trying to justify the public approach towards cleanliness of the railways, or for that matter, any public. You take any public space, whether it is a bus station, whether it is a railway station, whether it is a market, or any public space you take, people throw, litter items just like that. So it is not as if it is happening only in railways, and that too at this particular instant. So, but it has, as one of our, Cherian has pointed out, it has to be cultivated at the school level, and then it has to be cultivated with all the seriousness, not in terms of academic rating, with all the seriousness. So that is very important, because people, normally what we do is, what we study is one thing, and what we practice is another thing. So that is what actually our teaching has been, our practice has been, especially in the modern education system. It may not be there in Gurukul. In Gurukul, actually, we might have studied the same thing, because the teacher is the ultimate authority. It is not the education system that is the ultimate authority. When the teacher sees that the student is not behaving the way it is being taught, whatever is being taught, then he can very well scold him, and he can very well tell him that this is not for the teaching is not for your academic performance. It is for your life. So it is for our life, actually. Learning is for our life. Cleanliness, not littering, behaving well with the other people. So these all are the things that people have to practice. It can't be just told in terms of just some postulates, and then the students will be following it. That we can't expect that. So that is the point of this is where from actually we can start. And unfortunately, we have huge rung of elements which are unruly and unnecessary. People generally think that one can just question, nothing wrong. But if the questioning leads to outrage, and then it leads to other kind of violence and all, then who will be the recipient? The recipient will be the guy who has asked the right questions. So then he is at the receiving end. So certainly he will not prefer doing that. And I have seen this in metro railway systems also, in Delhi Metro and all. Whenever people try to enter the stations, what they will do is, first thing they do is actually they stand very close to the gate, entrance of the entrance,
yes.
Of the coach. So they say that the entrance is not hindering the people who are entering exit. No, they don't get elbow space. The passengers who are entering, leaving will not get enough elbow space. When somebody stands, one people stands on the one side and another person stands on the other side. Because you are basically essentially restricting it. Because you are not only entering, exiting based on based on your thing, but also you also try to keep a small distance between you and the next person. So unfortunately, they don't understand that, and they will argue it because they wanted to stand exactly on that, so that when their station comes, they want to get rid of. So this kind of discipline is to be changed. Actually, this kind of things have to be changed. Let us see. What kind of
Absolutely,
measures.
sir. Absolutely. I'd like to thank you. I'm so sorry for interjecting, but I've completely run out of time. I'd like to thank you, Dr. Ramakrishnan TS. I'd also like to thank Mr. Dilip Cherian and Mr. Sanjay Sahai. This has been quite the illuminating discussion. We have more lined up very, very shortly, but in the interim, we're dipping into a quick short break.